everyone, so today's video is going to be a little bit of a different video because Dyspraxia Awareness Week is coming up. I don't actually know when I'm going to post this video, hopefully during Dyspraxia Awareness Week, but that might be quite difficult for me to do, and I'll talk about why at the end of this video, because I feel like if you clicked on this video for a video about dyspraxia, you don't want to hear about what's going on in my life right now. So yeah, if you want to know why my posting schedule and stuff like that will be a little bit different from now on, I'll talk about it at the end of this video. But for now, let's just get into the video idea that I had in mind for Dyspraxia Awareness Week. I originally wanted to make a video all about books with characters who have dyspraxia, but that's not gonna happen because I can't find a single book with a character who has dyspraxia. I might be, not looking in the right places. Maybe there are books with dyspraxic characters, but not very well known ones then, because I can't find a single one. So yeah, let me actually get into the video now that I am gonna do. And instead of a book recommendations video, I'm gonna do a little bit of a different video, and that will be information about what dyspraxia is and why I think it's a problem that there aren't any books or not many books with dyspraxic characters. So yeah, I'm gonna get into that now. I feel like this intro was long enough already. So in case you clicked on this video and you don't know what dyspraxia is, I'll give a bit of information about it. Dyspraxia is a developmental coordination disorder. So basically it affects your movement and your balance and your fine motor skills as well. An example of that I can give is holding a pen is quite difficult usually for people who have dyspraxia. Now, obviously, the reason why I make this video is because I have dyspraxia myself. I was diagnosed with it when I was 17, I think. The only reason why I got diagnosed was because a teacher had a son who also had dyspraxia, and she basically said that I walked and wrote in the same way as him. And because of that, she was like, maybe you should look into it and see if you actually have it. Now, don't think that this teacher was doing this for my own good. She wasn't. She was trying to basically find an excuse to remove me from the class, because even though I was very good at learning and remembering things, my scores on tests were usually always very good. I was usually always at the top of my class with my scores, but when it came to actually doing the things that we were learning, I was quite clumsy when I did it, which is my dyspraxia. Because of that, she wanted me to get diagnosed so I can, no longer be in that class or that course that I was taking. Because, if I have a coordination disorder, I can't have this job. Which, in case you're wondering what I was studying, I was studying I don't know what you would call it in English, but basically kind of a nurse, I guess, even though I was never planning on becoming a nurse at all. But it was kind of that kind of course to work in a hospital and have basic skills to be in a hospital, stuff like that. It's very difficult to explain in English. But yeah, basically she didn't do it for my own good. She was basically trying to get me out of the course, I think, which if I ever make a video about dyscalculia, which is a learning disorder where you struggle with math, if I ever make a video about that and how I got diagnosed with that, it's kind of a similar story where the teacher just wanted me to get an IQ test so that I could be removed from the school and kind of I don't know what exactly you would call it in English, but the average education system. You have the education system for people who have disabilities, and then the education system for people who don't, basically. But in the education system for people without disabilities, there are disabled people. But I'm 100% certain that if I had got diagnosed with everything that I have now, if I had gotten diagnosed with all of that when I was still in school, they would have sent me to that school. Even if my grades were really good, they would have still sent me there, because they just don't like mixing the two together, disabled people and non-disabled people. They don't really like mixing them together because they think that will bring down the school's for people who don't have disabilities, like their average grades and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but moral of the story is she was trying to get me out of the class, not out of the school. I don't think she was trying to get me into those schools for disabled people. I think she was just trying to get me into a class that was deemed as easier as the one that I was taking, which didn't make any sense because that class had less learning and more like practical things, and I was bad at the practical things. So why would you send me to that class? It doesn't make any sense at all, basically. But yeah, I got diagnosed because she mentioned it, and I started looking into it for like about 2 months, and then we, saved up some money, and I got tested, and I ended up getting diagnosed. But yeah, that was like a whole rant that wasn't really supposed to be a part of the video. It's just supposed to say I got diagnosed, but I guess we'll talk about ableism as well in this video, and how, they always want to separate disabled people and non-disabled people. But yeah, that wasn't supposed to be a part of the video, but I'm gonna leave it in, I guess. So yeah, basically dyspraxia is a coordination disorder, like I said, and you're basically clumsy, but you're clumsy because you have a coordination disorder. That's usually how people describe it in like the easiest way. That's not really correct because it's not really about being clumsy, but that's how people usually describe it. So yeah. Now dyspraxia is also usually something you have along with something else. For example, when I was in the process of getting diagnosed, I mentioned that I already had been diagnosed with dyscalculia, and they were like, oh, that makes you a lot more likely to have something like dyspraxia, because sometimes they go hand in hand. Not always, but sometimes. And I looked at like the list of what they on the list called disorders, which I don't really like that term because it makes it seem like we're wrong somehow for having something like dyspraxia. But I guess that's what I'm gonna call, because that's what it said on the website. I looked at the list of other disorders that it kind of comes together with usually, and I have like half of them. Like, I'm not joking. So yeah, that's great. I'm basically the physical embodiment of that list. Now let's actually get into the part of the video that I wanted to talk about the most when I found out that there were basically no books with dyspraxic characters, and that is, answering the question of why aren't there any dyspraxic characters in books. I think the first reason is very obvious, and that's just ableism. People don't put disabled characters in their books. That's just the way it works. Like, you see a book and it has a lot of representation for everyone, and there's no disabled characters. That's just how it works now, I guess. That's not a good thing, but that's just how it is. Now, that isn't to say that like there aren't any books on dyspraxia at all. There are, but they're all informational, and they're all targeted towards parents of children who have dyspraxia, which I already noticed this when I was looking into getting diagnosed, because all of the like lists of symptoms and like things that can help you if you have dyspraxia, all of that information, like, it was all targeted towards kids, and it was clearly made for parents. And as someone who was trying to get diagnosed at the age of 17, it wasn't really that helpful. It was just a bit insulting almost that me as a 17-year-old, I didn't really have the right to that information, the correct information, for me at least. That isn't to say that like the information was all like incorrect. It was just incorrect for me because I'm not a child, like, I wasn't a child at 17, I'm not a child now. So if I want to find information about things that can possibly help me with my dyspraxia, like, I can barely find anything that isn't targeted towards kids. So yeah. Now obviously these kind of like informational books about dyspraxia and how to help your child if they're dyspraxic, obviously they can be very helpful for people if the book doesn't have like gross misinformation, that is. because there are some books probably out there that have bad misinformation, because that's just the way it is. But yeah, if you're not a child, that kind of information just isn't helpful. And I was really struggling in university, especially. So after I was already diagnosed with dyspraxia and dyslexia as well, and I already had my diagnosis for dyscalculia, I was really struggling and like trying to find ways to help me in university, and I just couldn't find anything because all of it was targeted towards children and going to school for the first time. And I was like, I'm not a child. I'm not going to school for the first time, and I'm in university and I'm struggling and I need something that will help me. And I couldn't find anything, which was very upsetting. And I later thought, when I was looking into getting diagnosed with autism, that I thought to myself, oh, maybe the reason why, all of these tips that they gave to parents with dyspraxic children, maybe they didn't work on me because I'm autistic. But no, the reason why they didn't work was because I'm not a child. So yeah, I guess this whole video, I didn't really know what the point of it is really, but I wanted to make it because I want to kind of like raise awareness for the fact that there aren't any, or seemingly any, books with dyspraxic characters. If you know any, like, put it in the comments. I would love to know and I would read them immediately. But yeah, I feel like having just informational books about something like dyspraxia, like, it just doesn't feel good. Like, for example, I was looking on Twitter as well, seeing if I could find anyone recommending books with dyspraxic characters, and I saw one tweet that was like, does anyone know any books with characters who have dyspraxia or dyslexia? And every single comment underneath that was a recommendation for dyslexia, which I'm dyslexic as well. I like that there's, recommendations for dyslexic characters. I like that, but it makes me feel bad when I see all of those comments with like book recommendations for dyslexic characters, and then, I feel like people just ignored the fact that dyspraxia was in there. Or maybe they didn't ignore it and just thought to themselves, I've never heard of that. I don't know any books like that, but I do know books with dyslexic characters. And, like, I don't like that. Like, it doesn't make me feel good about myself. It makes me feel like my dyspraxia is less important than my dyslexia, which obviously isn't the case. Like, they're all just as important to me, but I feel like they're not as important to other people, And that makes me feel sad. Like, I don't know what the conclusion of this video is. It's just me being sad about the fact that there's seemingly no books with dyspraxic characters. So, I guess I'm gonna end the video here. I don't know what else to say other than I hope that maybe I missed some books, and there are books with dyspraxic characters. If I did miss them, please put them in the comments below. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video here as well because the lighting is really bad currently, or I think it is. I haven't actually looked at the footage, but it's quite dark outside currently, so hopefully this footage won't be too dark. Otherwise, this video will never go up because I'm not refilming this. So, yeah. This is the end of the video, I guess. Bye. So, this is me in like a different outfit, obviously, because I forgot to talk about what I talked about in the beginning of the video, about like my schedule and how it's going to change, because I got a bit too sad at the end of the video. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it a little bit now, not too much though. But long story short, I am back in physical therapy for like my health issues, because I walk with a cane, in case you didn't notice yet. But I'm back in physical therapy twice a week, meaning that I can't really film a lot. I can only film today because my pain isn't too bad today, because I had physical therapy yesterday. So yeah, I don't know how my filming schedule is gonna work from now on. I might not be able to post one video a week anymore. I will see, I guess. But yeah, that's what I wanted to update you guys on. I'm sorry that I forgot to talk about it. I just got too like sad and annoyed at there being like no dyspraxic characters in books. So yeah, I don't know if I'll still be able to upload once a week, but I will try my best. So once again, bye.